There we go. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming today to listen to what I have to say on this topic very dear to me. As Kate said already, my name is Kristina. I work as a software engineer for many years now. And I have been working at Mollie, and I am a person that likes to think about these emotional things behind how we deal with daily day-to-day work. And this is how I got to talk about this. Um, okay. Yes. So first things first, let's be a little bit more clear about what is an imposter syndrome. Basically, it's a behavioral health phenomenon that entails self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments among high-achieving individuals. Um, it can take different forms and have different symptoms, such as crediting external factors for your success, like luck, decreased self-confidence, isolating from team members, perfectionism, experiencing overwork or burnout, even setting impossibly high standards for yourself, low self-esteem, strong fear of failure, etc. I assume some of you already have identified that they have already had any of these thoughts in the past or have them in the moment. And that's not particularly strange, given that 62% of employees worldwide do experience imposter syndrome at one moment in their life. Which brings me to the next point. I'm one of those as well. Basically, I think that this feeling has been coming and going on and off with me since the beginning of my university years, let's say. Basically, when I was facing a new situation, to have to deal with new exams and loads of new materials to learn and to prepare for, I immediately felt inadequate for this new situation. So I guess sometimes your body and your mind is creating these thoughts when they're faced with a certain situation that is new in their life. But yeah, this eventually I worked hard and I did well and I passed all my exams and I became a software engineer and started working in tech, which I still am. So yeah, that passed that moment in time. But then how I actually got to talk about this today is a few years back, I was chatting with someone that was a novice software engineer, and they approached me to ask me if I have ever felt with something like this. And at this moment in time, I was in my peak self-confidence levels. For some reason, I was just excelling in my work. And I was able to like blurt out so many different things to tell them in 15 minutes. And I said so many different things about how they can tackle imposter syndrome. I think I was in a great state of mind back then. And they felt very inspired and they were like, wow, I didn't expect that you were going to say all this. This sounds so reassuring and amazing. And I was really happy to make a person like change and cheer up a little bit because of this. And then eventually, sometime later, I was again facing a new situation that challenged my set of capabilities. And then what I did, I just opened this conversation and I read it straight out to myself. And I thought of it as some kind of a love letter from myself to myself and to other fellow imposters. And that's how we get to this point today. So yeah, I kind of took all these notes that I wrote in a very chaotic way, and I kind of sorted out into a few different points, which I'm going to be presenting with you today, and I hope you guys like it. First things first, acknowledge your feelings. And this one is about um, it being okay that you're feeling like an imposter. As I said, so many people around the world are experiencing this. There may be people that are more skilled than you in higher positions than you that are also questioning their capabilities, but we don't know that. It's basically normal to feel like an imposter when you're facing a new set of challenges. And the first and the most immediate thing you can do is to kind of identify the feeling, because it will be easier for you if you know what it is. And you can say some things to yourself, such as, okay, this is my self-doubt telling me this. This is something new for me. So I'm not very confident in how I can do this, but it's a feeling. It's not a reality. It's something that we feel and something that we can act upon. And then validate that it's okay to have these feelings of self-doubt, because it's not the end of the world if you think so. And effectively, it's a growing pain, right? You're most likely about to step out of your comfort zone and grow in a sense. So that comes with a certain doubt or a certain toll. But if eventually and hopefully you get out of it, being better and stronger. Second one is called focus on evidence, and I think this one is more about being objective, like put some objectivity in your head, outside of your subjective feelings that you're feeling. So this one can extend in multiple different ways, but basically, it's kind of like thinking about what have you accomplished in the past, what are the successes that you have had, and what are the things that you were already capable of doing. And maybe in the past you were also doubting yourself, but you did your best, and you put some effort, and then results did come. Many of us can be very self-critical and can set high standards to our performances, but sometimes it's good to step back and just think about the good things that you can do and the good things that you have already done. Um, or if you're starting a new job and you are doubting if you're adequate and if your skill set is on par with what you need to do, well, somebody put you in a position for you to do this because somebody else believed in you. You might as well believe in yourself as well. Or like you prepared for this interview. You you did your best. You solved some problems. That has to count for something. That has to mean that you can do these things. um it can also be, you can also take this one as kind of feedback related, right? So if you're not sure if you're doing a good job, and if you're not getting feedback when you want to get it, if you're wondering, you should be reaching out to your peers or to your manager to get a bit of feedback on the work that you're not sure how you're doing, if you're not already getting that. So feedback can be good in both ways. Even if you're getting positive feedback, that's great because you're doing something nice, and then you can tap yourself on the shoulder, and um, and you can continue doing this. So there's no reason to be feeling like an imposter. But if you're getting negative feedback, that's also an opportunity for you to grow. Like it's not comfortable for anyone to be giving negative feedback or to be receiving it, but it's something that we can take it for the positive and work on certain aspects of how we can improve ourselves and then effectively also get better. And for coders specifically, right? And I think this one I also included in what I chatted um, to my friend. It was like, if you're super new and you don't know how things work with the code, you need to figure out who are the individuals in your organization that can do better code reviews. So then you learn from somebody that can point you out on some important things and like how you can improve the code, and not just, I don't know, some syntactical errors or so. So yeah, you can do very objective steps in order to put yourself more into a more objective position. Um, oh yeah. And this one, yeah, this is, I also read this in the chat that I posted. I actually forgot about this. Basically, at that moment in time, or just before that, I had a review from my manager, and my manager said, yeah, you're doing great. Your performance has been very well for the past quarter or 2 quarters or so. And then I said something like, Oh, it's fantastic for you to give me this recognition and a good review. And they said, did you actually think you're going to get a bad review? Like, where does that come from? And for me, this is such a classic proof that I'm acting as an imposter in this case, because obviously I'm doing stuff well, but then I'm self-critical, and this kind of shows as self-doubt. And my manager was very fast to put me in my place, which is an okay place. So there was that. Next up, speak to somebody that you trust. Like, as everything in life, it's so much better when we can share our struggles and anything that we have in our mind with our friends or family members, colleagues, peers at work, just about how you feel, and they can give you their own perspective of what they think, how you do. They can make you feel better because they know you best and they know that you are good in certain things. Hopefully, they believe in you as well. So there has to be somebody in your life that they can give you some support, guidance, validation, and perspective. And then to that extent, find yourself a mentor. So this one stands for not only people that are struggling with their self-doubt and imposter syndrome feelings, but I think I personally realized this kind of a bit later in my career of how important it is to have a good mentor, so that they can kind of give you some focus and set some direction on things that you can learn and improve and get better. Um, it can be in any stage of your career. If you're just starting, they can tell you what are the first and utmost things you need to do, you need to understand in order to do your job. On if you're further in your career and you're facing new set of problems that are new to you, maybe they are experienced enough, then they can provide some context and their opinion on how they would address the situation. And then mentors are also people that like to practice mentorship as a craft. So hopefully they will also get something out of this relation, and they will become a better mentor. So it can be beneficial for both of you. Yeah, further on, they can make it clear to you about what are the expectations that you should be fulfilling at the moment, in wherever step of your career you are. So I think it's great to have a mentor to put some things into perspective. And then we move to some hot take ones. Starting off with the impact of your unsatisfactory work is not as significant to anyone else but you, and this comes with a lot of exceptions. Like if you're a surgeon in a surgery room, if you're operating people, it's obviously super important that you do this right. But I'm talking from my perspective, and I hope it applies to the same of you, some of you, and you can relate. Like you're writing some code that you will ship, and you will accomplish something with that, but sometimes failures do happen, and you might be in the middle of an incident like I am right now, and it has to do with the code that I have deployed. Exactly that happened happening right now. But everything is recoverable. Like, all of us do make mistakes, and many other people that you work with have also made mistakes. And most of things are reversible. There are plan B and plan C and plan D in which you can resolve all these problems. Hopefully you're working in an organization in which there are people that can be there with you, and you can act as a team. So you will not have to deal with finger pointing or guilt tripping or stuff like that. And if you are in such an organization, maybe you should rethink about your career choices. Um, so yeah, I think that most of us are very, as I said, focused on how we do things. And when we are wrong, we are the ones to be very upset with how much we have wronged. And then nobody else is so focused on our mistakes as we are. And that is something that is good to have in mind every now and then, to come back from that. And the thing that I brought up in the discussion when my friend was like, the most senior engineers in our company are the ones to be breaking production all the time because they're taking the biggest risks, because they're shipping the biggest features, and they're the ones to create outages, which doesn't mean that they're inadequate, but it means that they're also human, even though they're most senior, so they can make such mistakes, but we have a backup plan and we can revert stuff. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, the last of the hot takes is about fake it till you make it paradigm. And yeah, not completely endorsing being completely incapable and acting as if you are. But let's formulate this in the sense of it's okay to operate in uncertainties. Like your chances are you're going to be in a situation where you don't know exactly how to solve a problem, but it's worth it to keep it cool and to do your best to find a solution to this problem by thinking critically, searching the internet, involving other peers, etc. Nobody knows all the solutions of all the problems. And even if they have a solution in mind, maybe that's not the best of solutions. But we operate with the conditions and environment we have at hand. And we do our best every day. What else I wanted to say on this one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this one comes with an example as well. It's like, and this is also in relation to my large expose that I had that day. I had just started to conduct interviews at my company for hiring other engineers, and there were so many people that didn't know what they're talking about, coming to interviewing as if they're completely capable of doing this job. But it's like the discrepancy between their performance and the job description they're applying for is like appalling, and it makes no sense. I'm not saying that we should be doing this, please. Let's get this straight. But people that are not that competent still do show up and have confidence, and eventually some of them end up getting the good stuff based on their confidence. And whereas you are doing some good work and then you're questioning if you're doing it right, and that it's unfair to be doing this. Just give yourself some more credit, because there are hundreds of people out there that are winging through life with knowing way less than you. So sometimes just it's okay to be more confident based on the fact that you can do this even though you don't know how to do this right now, but you can find the tools and the resources to make it happen. And maybe the last one, effectively, it's about us not setting unrealistic standards to ourselves, being gentle and patient to ourselves, not judging ourselves harder than we do everybody else. Our mistakes are not bigger than other people's mistakes. They're just mistakes that everybody can do. Be kind to yourself in the process of learning and growing. There has to be some growing pain, which you might be experiencing, but you can do this. You're a good person. You deserve good things, and by getting the correct support and approaching the situation objectively, hopefully, you can do this in a more calm way. So there's that. Thank you so much. That was the end of my TED Talk.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
So, Kristina, when I wanted to ask on a personal experience basis, what have you experienced? Has it been more on extrinsic side or the intrinsic side that has, impacted or influenced, the emotional state, which resulted into imposter syndrome, because I mean, I have been through similar episodes. I have experienced same things. Uh, for me, it has been a mix of things. During initial years of my career, it was because of the extrinsic things like what people will think, and sometimes I've got very rough feedback for myself as well. Later on, when you start practicing a lot and you mature enough, then you start self-doubting. That's being self-critical. So, what are those stages? What has been those stages according to you?
Um, yeah, I agree with you. I think at different stages of your career, you have different doubts. And yeah, the form of self-doubt is taking different roles. Like at the beginning, I don't know, if you're in a new job, you're doubting if you can do the job well, or if it's a new skill set, you're doubting if you can, if you're capable to do this. But then if your responsibilities grow and uh, you're managing people or you're operating with huge projects, then the imposter syndrome is about, yeah, I can code or I can do this smaller things, but am I capable enough to leap to this new position for me? So yeah, I think that if we're looking up to certain leaders that we admire, we never see what goes through their
Uh,
head. But I think that they might be dealing uh, with doubts towards themselves that they're capable of doing whatever we think that at the moment they're doing great. So it's very individual.
So I had a similar discussion with one of my friends who practices psychiatry, and it was on a different line. It was on being compulsive, people who have very obsessive compulsive, behavior. So he said, Shivam, there's no psychiatrical answer to it. I'll give you a spiritual answer to it. A trader, a fighter, and a saint, they should remain aloof. They should not attach themselves to anything, and practice and practice and practice more.
Yeah, indeed.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have experienced this, and I see this happening in my team as well. I keep guiding them, but yeah, I think that this is some of the most critical and important. In fact, when you're raising a very high performance team, then it's very important that as leaders, we also take care of the emotional aspects around us. So, thanks for bringing up this topic.
I think that a good engineering manager slash team lead is one that will be able to discuss and have their team members open up about how they feel and not just step on their back for the great technical performance, but be able to see through how people are actually feeling because people can be very secretive, especially if they're top performance. And all you see as a result is how they execute perfectly well. You never know. I mean, sometimes you can know, but oftentimes it's hidden. So, yeah, I think it takes to be in a comfortable environment where people can openly talk about this. And it's very valuable because they're not just machines.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I have one question in regarding to finding yourself a mentor. You mentioned that that's a good practice to have. So how do you go about this finding a mentor? So yeah, if you can share some tips on that.
For me, it was lucky the fact that there was this kind of mentoring program in my company. So there were a few different people who also wanted to step in further in their careers, and it was good for them to become mentors. So there was like a pool of mentors that can mentor you in a certain way, and then that's how I picked up somebody that I had a good match with, like a good fit as a person. Apart from that, it could be somebody that you know from your personal connections. outside of it. It can also be like you can have your manager to be your mentor, but sometimes you don't choose your manager, so it's not certain if you want to have this particular person to have this role in your life. But maybe you can go about thinking about your personal connections. If there's somebody that you look up to, you can speak to them, because maybe they also want to be a mentor, so it can be a good match. And I think like this for me was very important, because I'm a bit like that. I had to match somebody on a personal level in order for me to open up and openly share my struggles. So I think that's very important, apart from seeing the amazing CV and all the successes the person had. So good luck with that.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to me today. Hopefully, I shared something with you that you didn't know, and hopefully your mental state is clear from all these feelings. And if it's not, you can do something about it, as I said previously.